Welcome to the Ultra Origins series, where we hear from runners who have recently finished their first ultra or completed a new distance. In these conversations, we celebrate regular people who are doing hard things. There's a lot we can learn from and be inspired by from people just like you. And in this episode, we meet Michael Quintas, a father of 6 and an ER nurse who at 46 years old recently completed his first ultramarathon just 1 year after taking up running to improve his health. Mike's journey from couch to 5K to a 55K ultra is a story of determination, resilience, and the power of setting goals to transform your life. Mike, I'm really glad to have you here with us in Ultra Origins. I'm so glad that you reached out and let me know that you recently ran your first ultra. So welcome. I'm so excited to hear your story. Why don't you tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, whatever you'd like us to know, and tell us where we find you.
My name's Mike Quintas. Live in Palos Park, Illinois, which is 20 miles south of Chicago, in the south suburbs. I'm a father of 6.
Oh, wow.
One girl. So I have a almost 22-year-old, 20-year-old that just took to college last week. One that started community college, 18, and then those are 3 boys, and then I got a boy that's 6, a girl that's 4, and a boy that's 3.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. So I stay busy, and I work a overnight shift at a busy ER on the west side of Chicago as an ER nurse. So that's why it's rough to try to get into training with that.
Your schedule must be quite crazy with all that going on at home and all that going on at work.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's challenging, but I've been making a habit, actually.
Well, good for you. I'm sure we'll hear all about that. When did you start running? Obviously, we're going to talk about how you just finished your first ultra, but when did you even start to begin with?
Well, as far as my background, I played basketball like all through my life, like daily, up until the early 20s. Then got married, had some kids, got divorced, put on weight. I'm a tall guy, I'm 6'4", so
Okay.
I went up to slowly creeped on. I went up to maybe my highest 308 last year. And so I didn't really do much after that. In high school, I did basketball and track. I ran the 400 and the 200 and did the jumps, high jump and triple jump. But I didn't really start running until my doctor's like, oh, your weight and your blood pressure's a little elevated. I want to put you on a med. I'm like, I don't want to take meds. And then I see these people at work that are on dialysis and sick, and it's just I'm like, all right, I need to do something now that I'm 40. I'm going to be 47 at the end of the year. And so I started running and researching, just road running, basically. I didn't even get in the trail running yet. And I just started doing the Couch to 5K app a year ago, maybe a little more. And then slowly started building that over the winter. And then in March, I got my shiny thing here, the Garmin. And so I'm like, oh, and then Strava. And then I started picking it up and packing on the miles and slowly going from 10 miles a week to 15 miles a week to 20 miles a week. And, now I'm somewhere around 30 miles a week. But then, YouTube, I started to, go down a rabbit hole, and I saw trail running, and I'm like, wow, I have all these trails over here that I've only went on a bike a couple times. I never went. I'm like, so I started doing that, started to run over there, and I loved it. And then started watching your videos, and I'm like, I want to do that. It looks so beautiful, so peaceful, get out of your own head.
Yeah.
And started doing that, and did 3 half marathons this year. Did a 10K trail run. It was my first run of the year in May. I've done 5Ks before, but nothing longer than that. And then I'm like, I want to try, ultra. So there was the Dances with Dirt one at RF events, running sit events that they do, mostly in the Midwest, seems, Wisconsin and Michigan. And there's so much rain in Wisconsin in June, it got canceled. So they had another one coming in Michigan, which is one that I did, the Pines to Pines 55K. So I went from half marathon to a 55K, which was, I'm like, the longest I did was, the 13.5 miles. So
Right. But also the progression was from 0 to 55K was also
right,
very
like
quick. Less than a year ago.
about yeah. So yeah, about a
Okay.
year, and I went from
Wow.
308 and I dropped down to what 272. Now I'm about 275, and my blood pressure's down, my resting heart rate's down, and I just feel better. So doctor's gonna be happy when I go back next month.
Yeah, doctor's going to be thrilled.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
so how
go
many? So
ahead.
you did three. Were the three half marathons that you did? Were they in anticipation of running an ultra, or were they the things you did anyway? But then after that's when you decided you wanted to run an ultra marathon.
Well, I started with the 10K at a trail run at the beginning of May, and I just wanted to slowly progress. I didn't want to jump. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna do this half marathon, make sure I can do it before I jump into something. So it was a progression. I skipped the marathon, but which I'm signed up to do at the end of the September. I'm gonna try a road marathon to see how that goes. But yeah, I skipped it, went to the ultra because I like the outdoors and as far as the trees and you just got the nice nature around. So
So when is it that you signed up for this 55K? I'm curious to know
um,
how much you actually spent mentally preparing for this.
I mentally prepared for it the whole summer, but I actually signed up for maybe 2 weeks before,
Oh, okay.
just because of the money issues. I'm like, I want to make sure, you know, if nothing happens drastically at home where I can't go. So
And can you
but
remind me the date of the 55K?
it was, oh man, when was it? It's in my Garmin. So I
Was it
did
August
that.
11th? Does that sound right?
Yeah. And the 55K, it's like 33 point something, but I got a couple wrong turns. And I went 34.5, so that's my longest now. So yeah,
Okay.
I got a marathon I'm signing up for the end of September 22nd, and then another. I'm gonna try. If you ever, it's on Ultra Sign Up, the Hennepin one in Midwest.
I have heard of that.
I think it's 100. It's a Western States qualifier, but I'm only doing a night 50K just to try my night running. I ran last week at night with my headlamp, so I'm trying to try the night 50K, see how that goes, and then my progression is at the beginning of November, downstate Illinois. So it's an ultra sign to the Tunnel Hill 50. So I'm going to do the Tunnel Hill 50 miler, which is supposed to be a pretty fast course, and so that's where I'm going from now. And then I'll worry about next year, in the next couple months.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you're definitely seems like you must have enjoyed your experience if you're
Oh
already
yeah,
starting to look at other things.
but when I was running this race, I told myself I'm never running again.
Yeah. Right.
It was brutal. But
Well,
I'll give it a
let's
try.
before we talk about the race itself, let's talk about how you trained for it. And so, obviously, all this running and training is relatively new to you.
Oh yeah.
But when you were starting to get ready for your first ultra, why don't you tell us about how you decided to tackle training and what your training plan was?
I've been doing the Garmin suggested workouts,
Oh,
and
okay.
which you see on every day on your watch tells you, how you slept, your HRV, stuff like that. And I have in the beta software program on Garmin, so I got this new Garmin coach. They've updated it and revamped it a little bit, so I've been doing that since the Ultra. But otherwise, before the Ultra, I've been just doing the Garmin suggested workouts, which worked out fine. It gave me about, I don't know, 25 miles a week, and sometimes I'd add in a long run if they didn't have it on there. Strength training, me and my wife, we both do Apple Fitness workouts.
Okay.
So I do like total body, half an hour, or upper body, maybe twice a week. And then I do yoga I've been doing yoga since last summer, so a little over a year. I've been doing yoga like 4 or 5 times a week. And
Oh,
I
that's a
think
lot too. That's awesome.
that's helped a lot. Honestly, I've been slacking and only going like 2, 3 times a week to like June, July, August, or July and August, and it's I could tell you need like yoga like at least 2 hours. It helps a lot with running, like with the hips and the flexibility. So
Yeah, your
I could
mobility
feel,
must be awesome with all that.
oh my God, it's so much better. Like the positions
Yeah,
I could do now that I couldn't do before. Yeah, yoga
that's
is
cool.
huge. So that's the training I'm doing. Just You do have the garments that you do tempo, and then you do sprinting, the fartleks, and then do my long runs. It mixes it in, and it's worked so far. And since I ran the ultra, this new Garmin coach, it seems a little more challenging, but I've been doing it so far, and it's been fine. So I'd like to have a coach, but I gotta be able to afford it and stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, coaches are one of the most expensive options for training, to be sure. And I've heard from other runners that the Garmin or Coros built-in workouts work really well.
Yeah,
and so obviously it worked fine for you to do your first 55K.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it tracks your sleep. I got continuous heart rate always on, so it tracks my HRV, and it's pretty accurate. I have the Whoop too. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
So I wear
don't
this
have
too,
one. Yeah.
just to try. There's a different data point. I try to biohack as much as I can.
Okay.
I like to jump in next year and try to sweat test, and then maybe do the glucose monitoring. Try that. See how just to biohack.
How many days a week were you running, training, getting ready for this?
About 6.
Okay.
I do 6, and then the yoga about 4 days, and the strength training a couple times a week.
And it's based on your work schedule and your family schedule.
Yeah.
It must have been challenging to get all that in. How did you manage your time and get that much training together?
Let's see. I mean, I work 4 days a week, 2 11P to 7As and 1 7P to 7A. And my schedule, I usually go 4 on, 1 off, 4 on, and then I got 6 off. So I try to do my workouts. If I work 7P to 7A, I wake up at 4 and run for work. It works out better when I work at 11 p.m. I have more time to run. Now that it's getting dark, I'm going to be running in the dark a lot in the fall and winter. But I mostly try to run before work. After work, sometimes I'm too tired. Once in a while, I will. But, I try to get the sleep that I need and eat good. I've been track my calories on MyFitnessPal to make sure I get enough of the macros and stuff too. So yeah,
so you're tracking your nutrition as well. That's really
that
great.
Too, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I did a long run yesterday. It was the heat warning out here, excessive heat warning. So I only got 11 miles, but I tracked my wife made a whole bunch of ribeye steaks, a whole bunch of protein in there to kind of build the muscles up. So
yeah, well, it sounds like you're taking good care of yourself.
I try to, yeah.
And then, what was the longest run that you had to do in your ramp up to the 55K? What was your longest training run?
Almost 13 and a half. That's the day my Garmin died, about a mile or two before I got home. I didn't even realize that my Garmin died, but I'm like, oh, it didn't track, but it shut off and tracked it, but it didn't track when I finished. I think it was almost 14 miles. But yeah, that was the longest. So I was like, man, I got to do 20 more miles for this race, but it was interesting.
So then, so how did you feel about that being having to have so much more still to go when you finally get into your first ultra? That your training run was less than half of what you were going to be doing.
I was doing some Google search and see if other people's their longest run, and people were like, oh, that's fine, the longest run 13 miles, 14. So people weren't doing really long runs before, which it would probably help, but I was just trying to. I know the time on feet is important. I was probably getting 7-8 hours a week on my feet. So one of the podcasts I was listening to, he's like, well, that should be enough for 50 miles or 50K, 9 if you're a busy lifestyle, 9 hours roughly a week.
Yeah. Okay. So so it sounds like you had a good amount of training, or the training was going well, and taking good care of your nutrition as well. So let's talk about how, when you getting ready for the event, getting ready for the race, did you also practice various different types of gear or nutrition? How did you prepare for that?
my long runs, I did wear my packs I'm wearing my long runs, and I take gels with me. See, my pack, what was it's called? It's the Vapor Air, the Nathan Vapor Air, the 7 liter pack. That's the
Oh,
one I
okay.
have. And I used that on my long runs. I order different kinds of gels from the feed, and I try, see what works for me. Usually probably whatever's on sale I buy. But I got a bunch of the Cis gels. I was using those. I got Morton's too. Nutrition, I got Tailwind I use. Element that has, the gram of sodium, and then the Moral Hydration. So I usually have water in the 2 liter, and then I have the 2 half-liter of one with the Moral Hydration, one with the higher sodium. It's Element, and I take like 4 gels with it and see what I need.
Oh, okay.
So I practice with that. I wore the headlamp just like a couple times already, but I practice with the vest on at least once a week. I run trails mostly twice a week, and the rest it's road around here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know do anything new for the race day. They say not to
Yeah,
do
that's what
that,
they
so
say.
I know better than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you feel like you were prepared? What were your feelings like when you got to the start line?
I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure. I'm like, I'm gonna try to make it. I don't know if this is enough training. I hope it is. And got the start line. I was a little nervous. I was fine. I got the thing is, I got to the hotel, and by the time I hit the bed and woke up, I honestly got like 4 hours of sleep, and that's not enough for me. So I knew that was gonna be a struggle. But and I think I packed too much because my pack was really, really heavy.
Oh, okay.
So I think I threw because I had a drop bag. I think I threw too many more. I think threw too much nutrition in my pack, and I feel like that was heavy, and that was kind of something I learned for next time. But at the start of the race, I was probably a little nervous. When I got off, I noticed, my heart rate in the 150s, which is usually I start off. I'm not anything high 120s, low 130s, but I was going pretty fast, so I started nerves got off pretty faster than I wanted to.
That's pretty common. Everyone blasts out of the starting line faster than they should.
I felt so good. Honestly, I felt good. Morning I ate some overnight oats with fruit in it, and had like a protein drink. But yeah, I just felt really good in the beginning. I was like there's a lot of ups and downs, and I was going in the downhills, just like jumping down. I felt like, watching Killian on the downhills. I felt like I was him. I was like really
That's
like
awesome.
spry on my feet. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I felt good.
And how far apart are the aid stations spaced in this race?
Maybe like 7 miles or so.
Okay.
First one was maybe 4 miles. The second one was maybe half marathon distance, like 13, and then that's where my drop bag was. Yeah, and I had so much. Like literally, I had so much in there, and I had so much left over because I didn't know. I'm like, I'm gonna keep some gels with no flavor in case I get the flavor fatigue. So I got the unflavored ones. I got shoes. I had everything. I had another pair of shoes. I'm like, I start out in the Speedland shoes, which I love. And I'm like, maybe I should change into I think it was the Brooks Caldera ones. They had a lot of cushion. I'm like, maybe I should try more cushion. So I did change shoes, which I don't know if that was bad or good. I would have got a blister there. The blisters I got, I probably would have got anyway. But yeah, the aid stations are great. The people are amazing. They want to help so much, and a lot of times I'm like, oh, I got it. They're like, here, let me hold out, let me fill that for you. There's nothing hot there, but if you want me to get into stuff I ate, I'll kind of each aid station ate less and less.
I think that's pretty common. I know even for me, I I find it more and more difficult to eat as the run goes on. Did you have crew with you at this race?
No, I don't think they even
Okay.
allowed crews. No.
Okay. So just
Just
drop bags is what you had then.
yeah, I had one drop bag. Yeah, the wife and the three little ones were waiting at the end for me, and she was at the hotel swarming with them, and then she met me at the finish line. And
Okay.
but yeah, I had one drop bag. Yeah, I had another shirt in there. I had shoes, more nutrition, anything else I needed, but like medical wise, I didn't really need any of that. Yeah.
And so not quite halfway into the race, you have the drop bag. And so then you had to basically take whatever you wanted for the next 20-ish miles, something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I really didn't take too much more because I still had stuff in my pack. So I know not to go out with a heavy pack. I think that hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you said you changed shoes, but that was just because of more cushion. Was the
Yeah,
second half of the course different in terms of its terrain?
I felt like there was more vertical gain on the second half. I should have stayed in the Speedlands. I love those shoes so much, but I'm like, oh, maybe I should have more cushion at the end when I'm fatigued. That would help.
Oh, okay.
But I don't even know if that helped. My toes were so beat up. I mean, I must have tripped on roots. I didn't fall, but I almost tripped about maybe 4 or 5 times and kicked them, and I thought I broke my toe a couple times. But yeah, I was running with towards the end, a 73-year-old lady that actually tripped and fell and had like a brazier on her head. She got up and kept running. And I'm like, wow. She actually beat me by like 15 minutes too. She was so nice. Yeah, she's like going. Yeah. I was in DFL, but I was second to last.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
at least you got it done, though.
Yeah, that's the most important. But yeah, there was a lot of elevation gain for me. I was like around here. I'll do maybe not even 1,000 feet with a 10-mile run over here, but there's 3,700, and people had poles. I noticed at the end. I didn't have any poles. I didn't even buy any poles. I'm saving money to buy some poles, but I wish I would have bought poles because I think that would have helped me like just to be less fatigued. But there was 3,700. I was like, wow, I didn't think it would be that much. Like my Garmin's like, you did 380 flights of stairs. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it was a nice course though. It was really technical. A lot of rocks, big rocks, small rocks, loose rocks, like single track. A couple times I had to stop on the side and wait for the horses to go by because they get kind of skittish if you're. So, other than that, I'll do it again next year because they're, wow, you're doing this. The 8 station people, are you doing this for your first ultra? This is a hard one to pick. I'm like, I didn't know I thought it was mostly flatter, not as flat, but I didn't think there's.
Was the 3,700 feet something that was just completely unknown to you, or did you not know what 3,700 feet of climb meant?
Both. I think on the website, I don't remember seeing that. I remember seeing like, oh, it's a little hilly, but nothing, too crazy. Mostly flat. So it was a little hilly. I mean, I can't imagine like the stuff that you do or like UTMB or hard rock. That's insane. I would love to do that someday, but that's insane. Like 35,000 feet of gain. I can't wait to watch UTMB this weekend, the 100-mile. But that's
Yeah, when you consider a race like Cocodona has, in its first 34 miles, the different people say different numbers, but approximately 10,000 feet of gain in that. So about 3 times as much gain as you had in this race, we have just in the first section of Cocodona. It's. I can see you're shaking your head, and that's.
I'd love to try that though.
Right.
I'd get some poles and try that. Yeah.
That's right. That's where you want the poles for. Absolutely sure. And I did want to ask you, because you mentioned that now that you want to get poles for future runs, were poles something you learned about during this event?
No.
Okay.
I knew about the poles, and one lady even asked me. She's like, "Here, want my poles?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. No, I don't want to take her poles from." But yeah, I knew about poles. I didn't think I needed them, but I think they would have came in handy a lot. I think I would have been it would have been less of a death march the last 10 miles like it was if or maybe if I saved a little bit. But
Yeah. Well, I think
couldn't,
one of the
yeah.
well, having had the experience of running an ultra without pulls, the next time when you have them, you'll really be able to compare having the benefits of using the pulls versus not.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
never even tried them, so I'm curious to see how they work and how they help.
You made a passing comment that you had a death march to the end. Why don't you tell us about how that second 20 miles of the race went after you left your drop bag behind and continued on?
Um, well, it was good. I mean, the first couple of aid stations, I was eating, they had boiled potatoes. I was dipping them in salt, eating those, having Coke, had some Mountain Dew, had like PB&J. I asked them for quesadillas. They had quesadillas, but I was just eating. I was starving the first aid station, so I ate a bunch, which is fine. Um, the gels, I was doing gels as a friend, and then around, I don't know, maybe around a marathon distance, around that aid station, um, I took in less and less. It just wasn't. It was so strange. Like, I understand now when people talk about like I couldn't even. I got like a marathon distance. I got like maybe a couple potatoes, PB&J, and I just was drinking ginger ale. Um, but after that, there was only maybe one more aid station, just water, and I took a couple Fig Newtons in my pocket. I'm like, I'll eat them later, but it was so strange. I couldn't get, like, I had to force the Fig Newtons down with water to even get any nutrition the last, like, I don't know how many hours it took me to do those last 10 miles or 8 miles, and I couldn't even fathom drinking any of the LMNT, the gram of sodium. I didn't even touch that because the sodium, like, just made me nauseous. I didn't vomit or anything, but I, like, couldn't barely drink water. I was just, the Gatorade I had that they gave me, I filled up one of my flasks in it. I was just swishing it around, spitting it out just to get the sugar. I couldn't even, it was so crazy not being able to not take anything down. And I just felt like I was like in a drunken stupor the last like couple hours, last 8 miles, like just going up hills and down hills, and just like, I tried running a couple times, and I think I did maybe like a 13-mile pace just for a little bit. Mostly it was like speed walking. Like I was trying to do like a 15, 16-mile pace as fast as I could to get to because I was chasing the cutoff at that point. Like I went to the last aid station, you had to be out by a certain time, and I got out maybe 20 minutes before.
Okay.
And yeah, so I did make it. I finished like 13 minutes left under the 10-hour mark. And I don't know, I a couple times I was just like, am I going to pass out? Like, why? And I'm like, I'm going to vomit. And I never vomited. It was such a mental low. It was just like, I just didn't even say you bonk. Is that what bonking is? I just was terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, never going to run again. This is it. I'm finishing. I'm just done. And it was just, man, I just couldn't believe and towards the end, it was just, last 4 miles were dirt road. So it was little hills, but I was going down there just running along. I had to unbutton my pack because it felt like it was just tight and it's hurting my shoulder. So I had to unbutton it to give my shoulder some relief because that was heavy. It was rough. I was going through some things. But my 18-year-old was texting me, and I could hear it in my ear, like in Siri, like saying, my son was like, good job, you're doing great, I can't believe you're doing it. My wife was texting me when I'd get the coverage saying, you're doing great, I'm proud of you. So that helps, But I'm like, a couple times I thought about quitting, and I'm like, no, now I know what people talk about when it's just like you wanna. It's amazing with the mind what you can put yourself through and overcome.
When you were in that low spot and you were, thinking about maybe quitting, were you at an aid station at that point? Were you in the middle between aid stations?
It was between aid stations, yeah. At one of the aid stations, I sat down for like 10 minutes, and since I had the time, I'm like, I need to just rest. So I sat down and then I got up and went, and of course I went the wrong way, and the lady's like yelling couple times I went the wrong way. A couple people were like, "Oh, I don't know, how do I miss a big bright pink flag?" But yeah, that's why I went the extra like mile, a mile and a half. But yeah. So yeah, it was a death march to end.
Well, then the encouragement from your family through the texts, that sounds like that was
great.
something that was really helpful for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I go in and out of cell coverage, and then I would send them texts, and but I'd get the text when I'd get the cell coverage back. A couple of them like, "Oh, I'm glad these didn't go through," because I'm like, "Oh, I think I broke my toe. I don't know, my nail might have fell off and probably bleeding." I was just talking to Siri, like sending her message. I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad it didn't go through." I was probably because she gets really worried. Like she's like, "I'm gonna be biting all my nails off." Like she gets when I first started running, she got worried when I went and ran like 12 miles out here in the trails here. Like she gets worried, yeah. But she's like, "I knew you'd finish. I knew you'd do it." I'm like, it was yeah. At the end, I give my kids the high fives, and I was running by, but like it was like a little bit of a fog, because yeah, I was like, yeah. I mean, it was funny because my sugar was low at the end, but like the last quarter mile, I'm like, shoot, my right arm's starting to get numb, my right leg's getting a little numb. I'm having a stroke. What the hell's going on? And I'm like, no, it's probably probably a low sugar or something. So just kept going. I'm like, I was just, yeah, I was going through some things in my head.
What was it like, when you've crossed the finish line, and now obviously this adventure is come to a close? You've successfully crossed the finish line. What was that? Was there any kind of emotional reaction that you had?
I didn't have any kind of emotional reaction that most people have. I was just looking for a chair to sit down. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, just have the chair to fold the chair out ready for me. And I was just looking for a chair. I just needed to sit down. I need to rest and just like let my body start to recover from there. So I didn't have the emotional thing. Maybe I will, in the next couple races, but.
But you finished 13 minutes before cutoff, you said. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
With one
yeah.
runner behind you.
One runner behind me, and that wasn't his second ultra too. Because I asked him like, "Is your first one too?" He's like, "No, it's my second." But yeah, one runner behind me, and it's kind of upset because you reserve like this meal and then meal ticket, and they like ran out of food. But the lady was it was like a pulled pork sandwich. I wasn't probably going to eat it till later, but they were so nice. The lady I think she felt bad. She's like, "Here, I'll get you it." She bought me a 2-liter of a ginger ale. That's what's in that picture I sent you. I'm sitting in the chair. I have the ginger ale. I think I drank the whole thing on the way home. But she was like she bought me like a ton of oranges and apples and bananas and a thing of trail mix. And she was like giving me all this stuff. And one lady, when my wife went to go get the food and had there, one lady's like, "Oh, you didn't get anything?" She's like, she was ready to give her mac and cheese that she was eating from. Right? Yeah. They're like, because it ended at this vineyard. It's like a all-female owned vineyard, which is really nice out there. That's where, I think it's called Sandhill. But yeah, ended there, and I came at the end, and they were like breaking everything down. The music was over, the food is gone. They waited for me.
Yeah. Did you meet other runners along the course and have any talk with people as you were doing your race?
The elderly lady I talked to a lot, shared some miles with her. She a couple times told me, "Go ahead, pass me up," and she ended up beating me, but we shared a lot of miles together. Went the wrong turn. Took a wrong turn together after the aid station when everyone's yelling at us. She's like, "Are they yelling at us?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." So it was her, and not too much. I was by myself a lot. Bottlenecks in the beginning, first half mile, and you run with a few people, but no one was really chatting or anything in the beginning.
You mentioned that you had the low point, obviously, as your 8-ish miles left. Did you have any sort of high moments through the journey?
A couple times I felt pretty good. Like the beginning and the first half marathon, I felt pretty good. And I was really enjoying the views and the nature, and when it wasn't, the weather was really good. I think if it was like the last 3 days it's been here in Chicago, with excessive heat, I don't know if I would have finished. Honestly, it was so nice. It was in the 60s, and I don't think it ever got over like 70, and like not humid at all. So it downpoured one time for like 20 minutes, but it never got really hot. It was so nice, and I enjoyed that. But I thought about it. I'm like, I don't know if I would have finished with the crazy humid heat. It would have been a different story, being like dehydrated and not getting nutrition down. I would have tried, but I wonder if my body would have reacted differently. But anyways, I finished then.
Yeah, that would have been a completely different scenario in all kinds of ways. So it's hard to know or predict how things could have been different, because it would have been just everything would have been different under that situation. Yeah. So after looking back upon how you trained for this, do you feel like you learned anything during the event that you would have trained differently if you could have gone back?
Yeah. Very first of all, I probably wouldn't have changed shoes. That was probably just a waste of time. Not carrying so much on my pack. That would have been better, having a couple pounds lighter, and dialing my nutrition down a little better. Because I don't really know. I mean, I tried. I was thinking maybe 2 gels an hour. People say like with 60 or 100 carbs. I was probably, hopefully on the low end I was trying to get, but I think that might have happened till the end, because I was eating potatoes and PB&J and whatever they had there. But just the nutrition, less in my pack, not changing shoes, getting more sleep the night before.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you could be between the excitement of things or not being in your own bed. Yeah, it can be tough to get a good night's sleep before a race.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm glad I went through like the lows, because now that if I hit that low, because I don't think I could have ever gone anywhere. I'm sure there's a time where I will be up, but to ever get low again, I'm like, I made it through being like this last time. I didn't quit, so that's what I appreciate that I experienced that. Because I see it and you guys talk about it, but I knew to experience it, And
every low is different. So in the future, you might have a low that is different than what you've had in this race. But yeah, it's often something that you can push through, something that's more in your mind than anything else, or at least your mind can overcome what the body's complaining about.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't run like I wanted to, but I was able to do a fast pike.
Yeah. Forward movement, forward progress.
Yeah. Onward, as I used to say.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So what was your recovery like after this 55K?
I ate a ton, especially on the way home. I started getting hungrier, and as far as like I start from leaving there. So I'm like, Rebecca, I'm their wife. I'm like, I'll drive, because I don't really like sitting in the passenger seat. Sometimes I get car sick, whatever, motion sickness. So I'm like, I'll drive. And then I drove a little bit. I'm like, you know what, you drive. And then so she drove, and I sat in the passenger seat and drank like that 2 liter and ate some stuff. Got home, slept pretty good. My sleep was fine. I woke up, barely can move this first day. First day was good. Second day was a little better. The third day, I took my son to college Thursday. So the third day we went 18 holes of golfing, and I walked 9 miles then. So that was good active recovery.
Yeah, good 18 movement. Holes.
And then I helped my son move downstate to college Thursday. So, I mean, the first 2 days were just a little rough. That's about it. So it was good. Did some stretching, some yoga. Wednesday, the active recovery, ate a lot, tried to get a lot of protein in. So it was good, except my toes. I had one little blister on my lateral heel that was fine. One little one on my toe, but my big toenails are now black along with the rest of them. So from probably kicking the roots. So I'm sure.
Were there rocks as well, or just roots?
Both. Yeah. It was both.
Okay.
And there was a big stretch where there was a lot of sand on the trail, running through sand, and that's hard as it is too. I'm like, jeez. I'm like, I don't know. It's during the sand and the some of the downhills are pretty steep and uphills. It was steeper than the stuff around here. So that was, yeah, kicking the roots hurts a lot. I honestly thought I broke my toe a couple times. It hurt so bad, but I'm glad I didn't fall.
Yeah, well, because that could have been, it could have been worse depending on how that went. I'm interested to know if you're going to end up losing your nails. Sometimes when I'll
Yeah.
kick things during a race, they turn black, and then some weeks later, then they fall off.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure they will. I wear size 13 shoes. I don't know if I should size up. I have like 2 finger widths. I don't know how much room you need, but I mean, my toes were banging a little bit on the downhills, but I don't know if bigger shoes would help. People say they size up, but I don't know if that would help.
Yeah, I know that different people will have different experiences with that. With me, generally I think I've got enough space, but as soon as I start running downhill, I can feel that space in front of my toes shrink a little bit as I slide forward. But I mean, if you kick a rock, I think even if you were 2 sizes bigger, you could still end up smashing your toes. So yeah. So are you back to running? Is after you took a little bit of a break and then recovered? Are you back to running now and getting back into your training?
Yeah, that Thursday I was gonna run when I took my son down, but I forget why I didn't. So I think I was just still busy that day. I didn't run, but that weekend, because the race was Sunday, that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I ran, and I started my thing all over again running. So I'm back up to 30 miles a week or something. Last week I did 34.7, which was the most training miles I've had not being in a race. So, I feel pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
you made the comment that during the race, that you were never going to do this again, but you said you've already signed up for something else, right?
Yeah.
You're already training?
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. I'm going to do that road marathon. I'm going to do that night 50K, which starts at 5 p.m. I'd rather do it during the day, but all they have open, everything's sold out on that race, so they just have the 50K, and I don't want to do anything more than that right now anyway. But I will attempt that 50-miler in November, getting in November downstate to Tunnel Hill. It's like a 2-loop out and back, or out and back twice. So, and then next year I'll figure out what I want to do, something more with hills or in little mountains, nothing crazy, because I know with the altitude, I don't know how to react with that. I'd have to I don't want to waste a whole bunch of money and drive out there and get altitude sickness and DNF. I'd rather test out little stuff first. But there's stuff in Tennessee, Virginia, within 8 hours, 10 hours. I wish I lived I told my wife, I'm we need to move in Arizona, Colorado, Utah, where you have tons of stuff around you. I'm so jealous. Really, so jealous.
Yeah, there's some people have access to the most amazing resources of mountains and hills and training. Yeah, I'm jealous of that too. I'm lucky that I have stuff pretty close to me up here near Seattle, but my favorite places to run are desert. So I am also jealous of all those people. Yeah.
Oh, the exposed dry heat. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first, like you said, the first day of Cocodona, that's when people usually drop in with the elevation and the heat. It's all exposed, you say. So one day, yeah, I'm you know what? I told my wife, I'm going to try that Triple Crown for 2026. And now I'm I don't know, maybe I'll wait till 2027. I want to see if I could finish these 100 miles first, but I'm because you don't have to wait in the lotteries if you sign up for the Triple Crown, because paid up front.
Yeah, that's true. I was curious. I'm curious to know if you can explain your motivations and what changed in your mind from being in pain and suffering, I don't want to do this anymore, to now you want to explore more into this. What is it that you see? How can you explain that difference?
I want to see what my body's capable of doing and my mind's capable of doing as far as the next level, the next distance. I don't want to just be just do it and one and done. I want this to be something I do in my 70s. You know, I'll be out there running and trying. Look like Pam Reed. Look at her. She's out there doing it. She's amazing. Like I just want to like see what I can handle and be able to conquer it. So
this confidence that you could possibly do these things, is that something that you learned through this training and through this running experience, or did you always have this idea that you could do these hard things?
I learned through these experiences. I'm always kind of hard on myself and not really a confident person sometimes. So this is helping me with that, gain self-confidence and motivation I need, because usually like I said, I'm pretty not really confident, a procrastinator, so I want to get out and just get it done. And maybe my kids, my older kids are saying, wow, I can't believe you look good. It's like you're running so much. I'm proud of you. Like my oldest boy is like, pretty impressed seeing his dad, he wants to start running too. So, and my other son has friends in Utah, and he goes out by Moab around there and goes hiking. And I'm like, you should start running. I'm like, we'll go running do the 240, the Moab 240 one day. Me and you go hike through there. So I don't know, maybe they'll start, hopefully too. And my wife has started running more too now in the last 6 months, and she wants to do an ultra with me. So that'd be so cool. Like, I know you and your wife, you want to do Coconut. If you're doing that, and it should be so cool. Like me and my wife doing something like that. Because now I don't want to I don't know if she can keep up. I don't want to, but I'd wait for her, obviously. I wouldn't just leave her in the dust. But we'll do a 50K maybe next year or something, meet her. But yeah, something to share with the family. That's the motivation too, you stay.
Sounds to me like the changes that you've implemented in your life are having wide-reaching impacts, and that you're actually changing the lives of your family as well. They're starting to be inspired by what you're up to.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have started this younger. Sucks starting this in your mid and late 40s. But oh well, I don't know.
The timing is what the timing is going to be. I guess you're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing.
Right.
Yeah. So, what would you, if you were to talk to somebody, and actually you are now talking to people who are listening to this who are getting ready for their first ultras, what advice do you have somebody who's training for their first ultra from what you've learned so far?
Just to go out there and do it. Like me, I really didn't start running till a year ago, and I did the couch to 5K, and I was over 300 pounds, and I dropped 35 pounds since then. And my resting heart rate's dropped down, your blood pressure goes down, you get healthier. Just go out there and do it. It'll be good for your mind, body, your family. You don't have to put that much time in running. If you run an hour a day, people go to the gym and spend hours there, and even the driving distance. You just go out there and do it. I mean, don't listen to the myths that running's bad on your knees, nothing like that. Just start running, and you'll go on the trails, and very peaceful. You get out of your own head. It's very cathartic when you're just running. And I have anxiety issues, so this has helped that a lot too. I mean, it helps anxiety, depression, everything. Running. I mean, I have so much more energy. I wish I did it earlier. Like when I was in my 30s or at least, and just get out there now. It's never too late. I'm getting close to 50 in a couple of years, so just go do the ultras. I didn't think I'd be able to finish it. I did. And just wish I think more people are starting to get into it. I see the ultra community, from what I see, what I hear, what it was 10 years ago, it's all over the place now. So this is great. Who doesn't want to be out in nature like this, running on trails, and it's shaded, it was so hot today, but always shaded, and you get aid stations at races where you get to, eat candy and stuff. Uh, the
Yeah.
community's great. Everyone's so nice too. Everyone always talks about it, but I'll say it too. It's just how it is.
Yeah, these people are amazing.
I didn't need one jerk out there. And I'm usually good at like reading people, and I didn't feel any kind of way about anyone. No one gave me the right rules. Super nice. I loved it. Yeah.
I'm glad that you experienced that. I talk a lot about the power of the community, and like you say, everybody says it, and I think that people say it because it feels so special. That when you come into this world and you experience the love from the volunteers, and you experience the support from the other runners, and everybody's pulling together to help you succeed, it's a special kind of unconditional. We're not asking you about your beliefs or your political affiliations. We're just like, hey, you're a human, and I'm going to help you get to the finish line. We're all in this together, and I love that part of the community, and I'm glad that you got to experience that in your race too.
Yeah. I mean, the lady is going to give me her poles as she's going uphill, and the other lady's going to give me the food out of her she was eating from. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I made sure to thank, as you should, thank you, volunteers. Just call me West.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, volunteers. Thank you for everything you do.
I'm really excited for you that you finished your first 55K, your first ultra, within such a short distance from even getting into running. That's quite a remarkable story, and the fact that you're continuing on now and dreaming of bigger and bigger things. I have a lot of excitement for you, and I hope that one of these days we'll be out on the trail and I'll get to meet you and we'll bump into each other.
Oh, for sure. I hope so too.
Yeah, Mike. Well, thanks a lot for coming on Ultra Origins. It was great to meet you, and I'll see you on the trail.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for coming on to share your story, Michael. I really enjoyed talking with you. If you have recently finished your first Ultra or recently completed a major new distance and would like to share your story here on Ultra Origins, go to onwardendurance.com and click on Ultra Origins at the top of the page. Thank you for watching. I look forward to sharing more Ultra Origins stories with you.